Hi everyone, I'm Heather Poduska, star maker to entrepreneurs who want to unlock their potential and command any stage. Welcome to Thrive, the show where I bring you tips, resources, and people to help you create a more abundant life and business. You are in for high-value content coming to you from industry leaders who are growing their business, making an impact, and rocking their brands. Welcome to the show. Here we go. Hi everyone, I'm Heather Poduska, founder of the Brand Star Academy, where I teach entrepreneurs how to be powerful, profitable speakers and create their own celebrity personal brands. Welcome to this episode of Thrive, how to find your inner hidden power source with my special guest, Marge Piccini. Marge Piccini has been called the Queen of Quantum Leaps by her clients, and she specializes in helping high-achieving women who feel like they've lost their luster in their careers rediscover a sense of purpose so that they can create the kind of impact and legacy that they want. Marge used to work in corporate, and she was at a Fortune 100 financial services company where she sold over $1 billion worth of financial services. But she found herself really dissatisfied, and a wake-up call came when she found herself in Provence, and she realized she needed to make a change in her life. And on today's episode, we talk about what that change looked like, what that wake-up call actually meant to her, and how she shifted from this high-powered career where she looked like she had everything, every indicator of success, and still something was missing. And we talk about what that thing was and why so many women, high-achieving women, get to that point where they feel like they should be happy. They've worked so hard for everything, and yet there's this dissatisfaction and they don't know how to make the shift. We talk about what Marge's system is for helping women put the pieces together in a creative and systemized way so that they feel balanced, so that they understand the three different engines that need to be firing in order to create balance. And we talk about what those three engines are and how to access them and in what order to access them. Marge also talks to us about the diamond rule, how we should be operating at this point in our lives, not according to the golden rule or even the platinum rule, but the diamond rule, especially for women who have been giving over the course of their lives and in their careers. And we also talk about that idea of purpose. What is purpose? Is there such a thing as divine intervention? I ask Marge, does everybody have a purpose? And if they do, why doesn't everybody know what their purpose is? We went deep on this one, and Marge is just an extremely talented, smart, savvy, heart-centered businesswoman. And I was so excited to have her on the show and to have her share her expertise with us. I know you're going to really love her, and I loved having her on Thrive. Also, if you would like to know how to become a powerful, profitable speaker, if you're someone who wants to lead your industry, if maybe you're already speaking, but you want to make more money from your appearances, or you want to get invited on bigger and better and more prestigious stages, or maybe in the media and know how to leverage your media appearances so that you can make money from them, I invite you to check out my services. You can go to my website at heatherpoduska.com and click the consulting tab. I would love to talk to you. Now, on to this episode of Thrive. Hi, I'm Heather Poduska, star maker to entrepreneurs who want to become powerful, profitable speakers and create their own celebrity personal brands. Welcome to Thrive, the show where I bring you tips, resources, and people to help you create a more abundant life and business. You're in for high-value content coming to you from industry leaders who are growing their business, making an impact, and rocking their brands. And I'm so excited to have my special guest here today, Marge Piccini. Named the Queen of Quantum Leaps by her clients, Marge helps high-achieving women entrepreneurs who feel like they've lost their luster own and showcase their hidden true brilliance. She helps them understand how they can make their mark and create a successful legacy, so how they feel on the inside shines through on the outside. Formerly, Marge was an award-winning sales professional for a Fortune 100 financial services company, ranking in the top 5% for her industry nationwide, selling over $1 billion in her career. She is a professional speaker, mentor, and the co-author of the book, Incredible Business, Expert Advice to Accelerate Your Success. Marge, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me, Heather.
Wow, the Queen of Quantum Leaps. That's quite a title. How did you get that title?
Well, my clients gave it to me. So
lucky you.
It isn't something I made up on my own.
So why did they name that to you?
Because that's the experience that they have after working with me, is they take quantum leaps in their business and their lives and move forward in ways that they really had only hoped were possible for them.
So what kind of work do you do with your clients as the Queen of Quantum Leaps? What does that look like?
So what it looks like is clients, when they're ready for me, are already successful. So, they're doctors that just have fallen out of love with what they're doing. They're attorneys that are ready for a change. They're business owners that they've built up this great business, but they have that been there, done that feeling with it. Or they're employed with a company in a high level position, and they're just not, they're ready for something new. They're ready for something different. They've experienced accomplishment. But what they're lacking is fulfillment. So the work that I do with them helps them to connect with what's really important to them, deep down inside of them. So they're trying to solve their problems and make their next moves, all, using what they've used that's created this incredible success for them, which is this brilliant brain that they have. But they can't strategize their way out of this one because this change is a very different change. And it's one that you can't solve here. You need to bring in other engines that you have access to. So this is just one engine. So just imagine an airplane that has 3 engines, right? And it's flying on only one.
I don't think I want to be on that plane.
I know, but that's how most people live their life when they're on the accomplishment track. But when they want to switch over to the fulfillment track, my clients, they want to be in both lanes. So they want accomplishment and fulfillment. What has to happen is that they need to fire up 2 more engines. And so they need to fire up their emotional engine and they need to fire up their spiritual engine. So then they're going to be flying with 3 engines, fully powered and creating, going places that they never thought possible.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
So I think most people can probably understand what an emotional engine is, like to connect to your feelings more. And I know, do you think that it's more a symptom of men not connecting to their feelings? So you found that it's women as well.
Yeah. The majority of my clients, 90+% of my clients are women. But what happens is when you're a high achiever, then you're always pushing to do more, to be more, to accomplish more, to reach the next thing. So you're always in motion and you disconnect from your feelings, or you're not as connected with them as you could be and as you need to be.
So I think that most people probably understand what that emotional engine means. They might not understand how to do it. I mean, that's where your brilliance really comes in. But what is the spiritual engine? Because I think that's a little more elusive for people. What does that mean? What does it look like?
So the spiritual engine is why you're here. Why are you here on this earth at this time? What is your purpose? What are your passions? What is your mission? What is the work that you're here to do? What is the change leadership that you're here to own? And all of the answers are inside of you.
Yeah. So when you say they're inside of us, do you mean inside our brains, inside of our thinking brain, or do you actually mean inside your entire body?
They're not in your thinking brain.
Okay.
You have to get out of your thinking brain in order to be able to access them.
Nice. And out of your brain and into
your heart. Okay. So think of it as a pathway.
Okay.
So, this is where we spend most of our time, right? And, we do dip into the emotional, we experience things, but when we experience them, we're so quick to move on to the next thing that we don't spend the amount of time that we need to fully process the feelings that we have.
Yeah.
And those feelings are really important because your heart is the gateway to your soul connection. So it's essential that be clear in order to be able to, pass to, this is referred to as the seat of the soul. It's your solar plexus. It's the third chakra, if you understand energy medicine. I'm sorry, your question again?
No, that was perfect. Okay. One of the questions I have around that, though, is I think that sometimes people get nervous about leaving their heads and going into that heart space because feelings aren't always comfortable.
Yes.
So how do you help clients manage that pathway from the head to the heart without getting into overwhelm?
Yeah, that's a great question. So it's a process that I lead them through. We, head into the heart area for a short period of time and then move right down into the soul area. And it's from there that they create their new thing, create that new life and work on designing what they truly want. So, but incorporating all three of those engines.
Well, I'm glad you said that because like talking about the seat of the soul.
Yeah.
And it's all, as a singer, because I'm a singer, it's also where the power has to come from for your voice. And if you don't get low enough, your breath gets too high, you get tension and all of these things. Yes. So it's applicable across different areas.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
So tell me, why are you so passionate about this? And why did you leave this career where you sold $1 billion worth of financial services? Like, that's pretty darn good. Like, what would make someone want to leave what from the outside looks spectacular and take this left or right turn?
I had the perfect life. I had an incredible business. I was successful. If you looked up success in the dictionary, you would have seen my picture.
And it's a lovely picture.
Thank you. Big house, big car, private school for my children, trips and, bank account and the whole thing. But there was a lot of stress there. There was an awful lot of stress. And I didn't recognize that how full throttle my life was until I was asked to step away from it for a week. And it wasn't a planned vacation or anything like that. It was a friend from the south of France, Provence, called and said, Marge, I need you. Can you come? So, of course, I was there, and I was there very quickly. And so quickly that I forgot my cell phone charger.
Oh my God. Oh my God. Everybody in the audience, their heart just dropped.
Panic. Yeah. So it took about 2 hours for me to stop, berating myself for like, how could you be so stupid? Oh my gosh, what is going to happen? And, my team had to take over. So my business, my clients, my family, everything had to be handled by someone else because I couldn't do it. I figured I'd go help her and I'd, still be, responding here, responding there and keeping things moving along. But the universe had a different plan for me.
So you get to Provence and you don't have your phone.
Yeah.
And then what's the next piece of the story?
Well, so then there's quiet. There's quiet. There's peace. And there's this incredible landscape and these beautiful people that I'm spending time with. And it was literally soul stirring. And I recognized that I had a great life back in the US, but I didn't like it anymore. There was a lot of it that I didn't want to experience anymore. And then, I made some decisions, and by the time I got back to the US, I was creating a new path.
Wow.
And I had no idea what it was going to look like.
Wow. So when you were in Provence and you realized that you didn't like some of the pieces, did you know that you didn't like some of the pieces before you got there?
I'm sure I did, but I didn't have any time or space that I gave myself in order to connect with that. Because full throttle, just run until 10 o'clock and then crash, right? And then, back up at it the next day.
So what were some of the changes that you decided to make? Because you've got a lot of responsibility. You have a team that you just mentioned, a family, a house, kids in private school. You can't just, turn a switch and say, Good luck.
Exactly.
So what kinds of changes did you make? And I'm also curious, to follow-up question, how did that go over?
Yeah. So it was interesting because at the time I get back to the U.S., making my decisions. I recognized that there were 2 times in my life when I felt totally turned on, totally excited, felt like I mattered, that I made a true difference. And I wanted I wanted experiences like that again. But I had no idea how I could create that for myself. And in the back of my mind, Oprah was on TV then and regularly. And, she was talking about this purpose thing. And I thought, wow, what if I have a purpose? And what if I can take that purpose and marry it with my business development skills? Oh my gosh, I could create something really incredible. So that's what I set out to do. I had no idea how to do it. But once you get so connected to yourself and you make those firm commitments to yourself, then anything's possible.
Yeah, I totally agree with that.
And the resources that you need just, pop into your path. So, a series of events happened and my former industry.
Yeah.
This was 2007.
Wow.
The end of 2007.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So I get back from the U.S. and
Divine intervention.
Unbelievable. It was like, yes, this is the time. So like even that phone call from France saying, can you come? It was so needed. It was so needed. Wow. So, and it was my turn to turn on and move on, essentially. Yeah. But we all get those calls.
Well, you got a literal call.
Oh, I got a literal call.
You got a phone call.
Oh, yeah. And then when I got back to the U.S., my money sources started drying up. I was in mortgage finance. My money sources started closing up. One after and this is a whole year before the rest of the world knew what was going on.
Wow.
And I thought, oh, something's happening here. Wow. And I heard these words in my head, Marge. Oh, I had this big vision the last day that I was in Provence of my new life, scared me to death. Wow. And I heard the voice in my head, that vision that you had when you were in Provence, it's time for you to start walking. Wow. And I just started walking forward.
Wow. I have chills. That's amazing. So knowing what you know now and having lived this life, do you believe in, I was joking about divine intervention, but do you believe in that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. And in looking back, I recognize that any time that I was struggling, really struggling in my life, it's when I was not heeding the call. It's when I was not listening to the messages that I was receiving.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I want to just circle back a little bit because you said when you were in Provence, you thought about a time when you felt really lit up early. What was that?
Oh, well, it was actually, the reason I was in Provence is because my husband and I hosted an exchange student from France.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was just beautiful. She was 17 years old when she came, and she was with us for almost a year. And it was the most incredible experience. We were atypical in terms of a host family. And we were surprised that, they said yes. But again, everything that happened serendipitously. The day that I was inspired to even seek it out was a day that my husband was setting up a spare bed in my daughter's bedroom. She was 11 years old at the time. And a friend of ours moved to North Carolina. She had the mate to my daughter's bed. And she said, I'm not bringing it to North Carolina. You can have it. Wow. So we went, got another bed so she can have sleepovers in her room. I'm in the kitchen reading our local newspaper. And I see an article that says there are all of these exchange students from Provence, from other countries who have been approved to come to the U.S., but there aren't enough host families that have signed on. And I thought, oh my gosh, if that were my daughter and she were approved and paid and everything was all set and she was just waiting for, her assignment and it didn't come, I would be so sad for her. And so I called a family meeting and we discussed it and boom, we decided to move forward. It was one of the most incredible experiences of my entire life. So Julie showed up and one of my first questions to her was, so what are your passions? And she said, art and photography. I said, oh, fantastic. What do you hope to do with that for a career? And she said, what? I said, what do you hope to do for a career? She said, oh, I'm going to be an economist. But wait a minute. An economist?
Yeah.
I saw the total disconnect and I said, oh, tell me about that. And she said, Marge, unemployment is over 10% in France. 17-year-old. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I suppose if that's what you live with, everybody's talking about
exactly.
that.
Yeah. Unemployment's over 10% in France, and I need to have a career that's reasonable. I can do that on the side. And I thought, okay, well, that makes sense. So she had to sign up for classes at school. I took her to school, and she signed up for her 3 required classes, and the other 4 were art and photography. This girl blossomed. And she was so talented, incredibly talented, but it hadn't been nurtured. It hadn't been allowed to be explored and studied in this way. And the year that she was in my town at that school was the year that there was a teacher who traveled more than an hour to come teach at this school for this year only.
Wow.
Like, talk about divine intervention. Yeah. And he's been published in lots of major magazines.
Wow.
Incredible. She was able to do independent study with him.
Wow.
Yes. And now she's a photographer for a publication. It's called Word Vietnam. In Vietnam. She's living in Vietnam right now.
Wow.
It was incredible. So what ended up happening was that at the end of the year, her parents came for a visit, saw her artwork was on display, and were just, they were just blown away. And they decided that they were going to support her, her education in art and photography. So she has 2 bachelor's degrees.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Really incredible. And she's absolutely loving her life. Yeah.
Which is wonderful. And to bring it full circle to you, that changed you.
Absolutely, it did.
That experience of helping people blossom. And I assume that's along with all of your expertise in your corporate experience combined is what you help people do now.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So one question I have around it is, like you, a lot of your clients are very successful. Do they typically go on and make hard right turns like your exchange student who went from, economist to photographer, or do they sometimes just go back with renewed vigor to their careers? What usually happens?
Well, it's a combination, actually. So, for example, one client was, she was in a very high-level position with a high-end specialty retail brand. And she had a brilliant career there, thought she was going to retire. Instead, she got a pink slip when the economy took a dive. And so she thought she did something so brilliant. She thought, you know what? I was in HR. I know HR like the back of my hand. I love what I do in HR. So I'm going to hire myself out as a consultant to small to medium-sized businesses.
That was smart.
On a retainer. So these are companies that they're not big enough yet to have their own full-time HR manager. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant idea. She couldn't sign a contract. Could not get anyone to sign a contract.
Wow.
And she was, every proposal she put out that didn't get signed, she got dimmer and dimmer and dimmer and dimmer. And we worked together and discovered that, you know what? You did this thing when you were in HR, but the reason that you were tapped for it is because of the unique experience that you have out of all the other people that they could have tapped in the company to do this. Your combination was the perfect combination to do this. And her combination drove top line sales to increase between 10 and 20% depending on the store.
Wow.
That's huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge.
Wow.
So we figured out what that was, and she repackaged herself, put herself out there, and within 3 months had $78,000 in contracts signed.
Wow. So what was her new niche? What was her new title?
Yeah. So her new title, is, oh gosh, it's changed so many times. So, cause you get into your new thing and you have a level of comfort with it. And then, you grow and grow and grow.
Yeah.
So what we learned was that, well, think of it this way. So there are three different things that need to come together. So the first is your education, your experience, and your expertise. The third are your passions. And I'm sorry, the second is your passions. And the third are described as your hidden gifts. We all have these hidden gifts, and the hidden gifts are gained through our spiritual path of development. So we can't see them.
That's interesting.
Yeah, we can't see them, so they're hidden from us. But as we're moving along in our personal and professional life, we're developing, this is our change leadership. So we're developing this. So where the three of those intersect is where that is what your true value is. And that's what people are willing to, that's what they want, that's what they need, and that's what they're willing to pay you handsomely for.
I want you to say more about that hidden, what did you call it, your hidden spiritual, what was the third one?
Your hidden gifts.
Your hidden gifts. Yeah. Because I do branding and I talk to people, we work on that to get their hook. Like what is that unique thing and all those things that come together. But this is another element of it as well.
It is.
And I think sometimes it's hard for people to understand what their thought leadership is, what their point of view is, can you just say a little bit more about that?
So this thing is something that you have done over and over in your life. And when you do it, you feel awesome. Like I did it with Julie. I did it with my dad. I do it with my clients. My dad was the other one that I had the experience with that I wanted more of those experiences. But because they happen with different people, they were completely different circumstances. They looked like they were completely disconnected. The only thing that was a connection was how it made me feel. Fulfilling that role for them. So it was really hard to see, well, yeah, I helped them make their dreams come true, but there was something more specific that I helped them to do. So this thing you do when you feel great, when you feel that you made a difference, where you feel fulfilled, you just feel full, it's just so incredible. But the training ground for it is in your challenging life experiences.
Great.
Yes.
Isn't that the way?
I know. So what happens is, and why it's really hard for high achieving people to find it, is because you have to go back into those challenging experiences to pull that out.
Can you give an example of that, like where it would be somebody who had a challenging experience that they pulled it out?
Yeah. So the client that I referenced, so her experience was that she had loss after loss after loss. Started with her dad and then two spouses. And each time, and another time in between, she was constantly doing a 180. She was so good at doing a 180 that that's what her friends sought her out. When they were going through divorce, when they were going through a hard time, they needed to make a change. She had all the skills and she had no idea what she was doing. She had no idea that, this was something that was really special and really incredible. And you know what? 10 to 20%
I was just thinking that
sales.
That's a 180.
Is that a 180? Absolutely.
Yeah, I was just thinking that's amazing. Yeah. So if you're going along in your life and you're like, I've got the mental, I've got the emotional, the passionate part, but I don't quite understand how to identify that. What would be something that
no one can? It's really interesting. So when we get to that point where it's revealed with my clients, they're like, wow, oh my gosh, I totally get myself now. Yeah. I totally understand my life and I totally accept all of these experiences
that's powerful.
That I wasn't willing to accept before. It's huge.
So you think you need a witness?
You do absolutely need awareness. Yeah.
I find that in my work too. Sometimes people will say, wow, well, how did you think of that? That was so brilliant. And I'm like, well, because you just said it.
Yeah.
Because you have so many voices in your own head that you can't always see. You don't have that perspective. So that must also be one of your special spiritual gifts to help people see that, like with the photographer, the exchange student.
Yes.
Cool. So before we started, you were chatting and you were talking about the diamond
rule.
The diamond rule. And I want you to just say a little bit about that before we end, because you talk about your clients being high achievers. I think the people who watch this show are high achievers. My clients are high achievers. And you get to a certain point and things shift, and you talk about the shift from the platinum rule, and what was the first one?
Yeah. So the golden rule is how we were all brought up. Treat others the way you want to be treated. And then we start in school and we, go on with our careers, and we have to do things the way other people want things done. So we learn the platinum rule, which is how to treat other people the way they want to be treated, right? And, think of your personal relationships as well, right? So you're always catering to other people. Well, when you're catering so much to other people, you're not catering to yourself. And most women get to a point where it's a bit of a breaking point where they recognize that I need me time. I need to figure out what it is that I'm passionate about, and I need to, make these changes, and, I deserve to be happy, and I deserve to feel fulfilled and, worthy of the space that I take up in the world. So, then the shift that has to make is that you need to start following the diamond rule. And the diamond rule is to treat yourself the way you want to be treated.
That's a good rule. I think it's a good rule for everybody. I think they're all good rules.
Absolutely.
They're all good rules. But I think especially for women, especially if you have families, it's your job. It's your job to take care of your kids.
That's right.
That's your job. You signed on for that. So, but there comes a point where if you don't have anything left to give, you can't serve other people.
Right.
So I love that rule. I love that rule. So clearly you are incredible at what you do. And if people want to know more about you, where they can find you, how they can find out about what you do with people, where can they find you?
They can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook. My website is margepiccini.com.
And we'll put that in the credits so people will be able to find that. That's awesome. So just a couple of questions left. If I'm a person in that pre-breakdown space, like I haven't gotten the phone call to Provence.
Yeah.
That's how I want my breakdown to come.
I know, wouldn't it be great?
Universe, if you're listening, I want the call from Provence. Anyway,
I needed it really bad.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, but my question is, what can you do before you have to get the call from Provence?
So that's a really great question. And on my website, there's a tab that says free gift. Okay. And if you click on that, then you will get my nighttime ritual. And my nighttime ritual, it's a 5-step process that'll help you to start to create the new life that you want to create for yourself. So it's all about helping you to connect with really what's important to you, and it's completely shifting out of here and shifting into starting to fire up the other engines.
Cool. Yeah. So for the audience that's watching now, is there one thing that you could give, one tip that you could give around that?
Yeah. So the biggest tip is gratitude. Be grateful. Because when we get stressed, we spend so much time thinking about our stressor. And what you focus on expands, right? Just as that expands. So if you're focusing on all the negative and the stress, guess what? It's growing.
Right.
So my nighttime ritual helps you to focus on the things that you want to focus on, that are important for you to focus on. And gratitude is the first one. So gratitude works this way. What you appreciates. It grows in value. So if you can start off with that, that's a really huge tip. And the best time I recommend doing that is at night before you go to bed.
That's interesting because I try to do it in the morning to kick off my day, but I like the nighttime too because I think your subconscious is so powerful.
It is incredibly powerful, and most people have no clue how powerful it is. But for me, I always solve my problems in my sleep. I go to sleep with a problem or a challenge, and I wake up and I have the resolution.
Wow.
So our subconscious is always working. So why not set it up with, in this best state possible to do the best, to perform best for you.
I'm going to try that. I'm going to try switching it around. I'll let you know how that goes because I agree with you. I think it's super powerful, and it's super powerful against stress. I think it's powerful against anxiety.
Yes.
It's a cure for a lot of things.
Yeah.
But I just want to thank you so much for coming and acknowledge you for all the work that you do with people and going on that journey and honoring the call. Not everybody honors the call. So I really want to acknowledge you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. And sharing your gifts with your clients and now with our audience as well, because I think it's really important information. I was super excited to hear your story, to have you on Thrive, because it's about thriving and your business is about helping people thrive in all areas.
Absolutely.
So I really appreciate you coming on. And
thank you, Heather.
Yeah, absolutely. One last question.
Yeah.
What does it mean to you to thrive?
Oh, so to thrive for me is my definition of success, which is experiencing accomplishment and fulfillment. They're not mutually exclusive. Some people think that they're mutually exclusive, but when you can experience both. And when you do, then you're definitely in the thrive zone.
So do you think that everybody has a purpose?
I think everyone does.
So it's
absolutely.
Because I think some
but
people...
not everyone. A lot of people are afraid of it. A lot of people are afraid of it. Yeah. Yeah. So that's this part that's afraid of it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think that's why some people can't find it because of the fear?
Yes, absolutely.
So your message is that it is possible that we all have one. And when you combine that with your gifts, that's when you thrive.
It's a very important part of it. Absolutely.
Wow. Thank you so much for being here. This was wonderful.
Heather.
And I loved all the information that you shared. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you also for joining us as well. Until next time, here's to hitting all your high notes. Take care. Bye-bye. Hi everyone, it's Heather again. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Thrive. Every week we try to bring you people and information to help you change your life for the better, to grow your business, to expand your thinking, and to open your heart. If you did enjoy this content, I would so appreciate it if you would go to iTunes and review us. Let us know how we're doing. We'd love to hear your thoughts and your feedback. And if you found this information helpful or useful in any way, please share it on out. Let your friends and family know about Thrive. And finally, if you'd like to know more about me, you can visit me at heatherpoduska.com. Until next time, here's to hitting all your high notes.